Thank you, Commissioner, and good afternoon, everyone. We want to thank you for being here. Our emergency management team and public safety staff have been actively monitoring the tropics and working closely with our state and our federal partners, including the Florida Division of Emergency Management, the National Weather Service, and the National Hurricane Center. Of course, with the 11 a.m. update, we now have Tropical Storm Helene with max winds of 45 miles per hour. The storm is still south of Cuba, but it is expected to move northwest and into the Gulf later tomorrow and intensify as it moves northward, just off to our west. At this time, there are a couple of key concerns that we have for the community, and the first is, of course, the concern of tidal and surge associated with the storm's passing. And secondly, the wind field that may impact our community as well. We are expecting that there will be an opportunity for tropical storm force winds to cover Lee County, which is more intense than we experienced with Hurricane Debby just a couple of weeks ago. At this time, there's a number of public safety and county staff that are working at the Emergency Operations Center as well as within their own departmental operations in preparation for the storm. We do anticipate that tomorrow morning we will activate the Emergency Operations Center to a level 2 partial activation. And I also want to let you know that the Board of County Commissioners will conduct an emergency meeting at 2:30 p.m. today in Commission chambers to discuss a state of local emergency for Tropical Storm Helene and to receive an update on the storm-related issues. You can watch that meeting on Lee TV or on our county social media channels. The meeting is open to the public, and you can attend in person as well. We've got a couple of operational updates from county departments and our partners across the region. Our DOT staff has been very active these last few days. Today, they are working on locking down a number of different projects and facilities, and our operations and traffic staff will be running extra on-call personnel overnight and throughout the storm's approach on Wednesday and into Thursday. We are working very closely with the Florida Department of Transportation on the temporary signals at the Little Pine Island Bridge, and as soon as the storm passes, we will work with them to ensure that those signals are operational. Our DOT ops staff are working to inspect drainage structures in lower lying areas to make sure that they're flowing freely, working very closely with our Natural Resources Department on their weir gate operations to provide room for water to stage where appropriate. And finally, there's a number of different projects that we have ongoing across the community, and DOT operations is working on securing those projects ahead of any wind impacts that may approach the county. Natural Resources is monitoring and evaluating all of the conditions across our network of sensors and gauges to include groundwater levels, stream levels, and rainfall to assist in determining areas that may be most vulnerable to flooding. And we've been working with the Water Management District to clean creeks and streams of exotic and obstructive vegetation, recognizing in many cases that they serve as the major water courses for flood relief during events like this. One other big activity that we've been engaging in with Natural Resources is ensuring that we've got adequate documentation in case we see more beach erosion as Helene passes off in the Gulf of Mexico. We're also working closely with FDOT to make sure that drainage in our typical lower lying areas along State Road 80 and downtown, those heavily trafficked corridors, that those areas are clear and flowing freely. And finally, a couple of messages from the Department of Solid Waste. Lee County Solid Waste urges residents to follow a couple of important guidelines. First, we want you to refrain from cutting trees, doing major yard work, or placing large amounts of bulk waste at the curb ahead of the storm. And secondly, we want you to monitor leegov.com for any updates to collection schedules as they may change this week due to the storm's impacts. For the community, a couple of final notes. First of all, we want everybody to continue to stay informed. That includes monitoring your local media outlets, the National Weather Service Tampa Bay, and our partners at the National Hurricane Center. You can follow Lee County government and Lee County Public Safety on social media. A number of those links are on our county website as well at leegov.com. And finally, you can sign up for Alert Lee, which is our county notification service. And you can download the Lee Prepares app from Google Play or the Apple App Store. For those residents that are out there preparing for the impacts that we'll feel later tomorrow and into Thursday, a couple of final reminders. First of all, we want you to review your family emergency plan and have an emergency supply kit. You need to prepare your home. This is the time to secure those loose items outside. Make sure that what you need, you have on hand, and continue to monitor the tropics very closely. And finally, you need to know your home and know your zone. If something were to change and we were to call for evacuations, you should have a plan in place to evacuate. If need be, preferably to a family member or a friend's home in a community outside of the areas that are impacted. And now I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Greenwell.
All right, thank you, Ben. Also, at this time, I'd like to recognize our media partners. Thank you. You're key to helping us get out the message and the messages that we need to get out from the county. So we really appreciate everything y'all do. I would like to reiterate also, we will have an emergency Board of County Commissioner meeting this afternoon at 2:30 in the Board of County Commissioner chambers. So please watch it live if you want. I think that's important. There'll be some decisions made there. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to Ben to answer any questions y'all might have. Okay, come on, Ben.
And I understand that the county has been working on an updated plan for about 2 years now since Hurricane Ian. Will that plan be rolled out now? Is there still time?
We're still working under the existing comprehensive emergency management plan, but we are nearly complete with the revision to that plan, which has to go through a number of final stages. It has to be approved by the Board of County Commissioners, and then that approval has to be sent to the state for their final agreement on the plan as well. So there's a few more steps to go, but that plan is nearing completion probably in the next 30 to 60 days.
What changes will be reflected in that plan?
That plan is very unique because normally we would just go through a standard revision cycle, but in this case, we have revisions for the pandemic. We have revisions for Hurricane Ian. We have revisions for a number of other tropical events that we've experienced. Another big impact is that the way that plan is designed and written, there was a change in federal guidance that the state adopted. So literally we had to start from scratch to rewrite the entire plan. So it's been an exhaustive process, but we're close to having that complete.
Do you have enough staff in the county prepared for whatever?
We do. We feel very confident. You know, we're thankful to work. You know, we've got 500 staff within public safety, but we've got 2,800 staff countywide, and we've got thousands of partners across the community. So I know that we're, you know, sometimes we're able to handle things internally to the county, but very often we rely on our partners as well. So we're prepared to ask for help where necessary.
Are there any evacuation shelters for people that may not have somewhere to go, or even the homeless population that's here in the county?
That's something that we're actively discussing. I think as we see the forecast continue to develop in the next 12 to 24 hours, we'll be in a position to make any announcements that are necessary, but that's something that we're considering.
Will there be anything from that plan that may be done differently from Ian? Is there anything different, I guess, we're doing this time that perhaps we didn't do before?
I don't think so. I mean, you know, we go through a very rigorous cycle of forecast updates from state and federal partners. The cycle is very, very consistent. I think how we, you know, some of the lessons that we learned from Hurricane Ian, how we communicate, you know, how we incorporate some of our partners into those planning and preparation efforts. Those are the things that we've been doing. And really, we've been doing those for the last, you know, coming up on 2 years now, as we started to learn those lessons from Hurricane Ian.
Have you guys heard anything regarding schools?
Have not heard anything regarding schools. We had conversations yesterday and again this morning with the school district. And again, I think everyone is waiting for some additional information from the forecast before there's any final decisions made.
Jim?
Okay.
I'd like to make one last statement if I can. I think it's important. You know, we learn from every storm that we have, but one of the things that we've learned is we were communicating a lot before the last storm, but we maybe didn't communicate to the public as well as we'd like. So we're going to make sure that we do that. And that's why we're just getting an early start to make sure a lot of information will develop over the next 24 hours, obviously. So please stay tuned. So thank y'all for coming.
Thank you. Thank you all.